We're currently waiting on a dresser. So if you guys see any messy stuff in this room, that is why. It is 10:09. I'm a little late here, so I apologize. But I'll just wait a few minutes for people to come in if there is anyone that's planning on joining us. It's been a morning. It's been really nice because Lila is at her Mimi's and Jared's also there. So I have had a lot of peace and quiet, and it's been so nice, so grateful for it. But I'm just going to kind of get into this video. It's a pretty loaded topic, and I'm not really feeling nervous about it. I haven't written much out, but if you guys want to pop on and say hi, I will show the chat for this video once it is up. Like after the live session, if you guys have any questions through it, feel free to send them through. But good morning and hi. Feel free to say hi too if you're on. So today I'm just going to chat a little bit about birth doula philosophies, like mine in particular, not to get too much into all of them because obviously everyone has a different philosophy about doula work and birth. But for me, my philosophy hasn't really aligned with my work in a really long time. I don't know if you guys can relate if you're doulas already, but I think we kind of go into this work with so many different curiosities and, our own birth philosophies. And I haven't really been able to follow my truth this year because as a doula, when you first start out, the main goal is clients. That's all anyone ever talks about. Is getting those clients. So the start of my work started out with a client that I really aligned with. She was more of like a radical type of woman against the grain, wanted to have a really healing birth. And I was so aligned with her. Like we got along really well. I did Reiki for her all through her last trimester. And she actually ended up having a free birth. So this was like my first or my second doula client who was saying that she was going to free birth. So there was one part of me that was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like I was reading about natural childbirth, all of the books, Birthing from Within, all of Ina May's books, all of those childbirth books that were just really focused on natural childbirth. It seemed like this was wonderful. Like I was so excited for her to be in her power, and she didn't want to tell anybody. She only told me about it. So I felt like, wow, like this person, they trust me to just be there and hold space. And that's literally what I thrived off of those first months as a doula. I was like, this is so amazing that women really want to be in their power like this. And I felt good supporting somebody like that. And then kind of as the days went on, she had her free birth, and a free birth is no support. So she didn't call me. I wasn't expecting to be called. I just like to hold space for her while we had our prenatal visits and everything. And she did amazing. It was a beautiful experience for her. So that was a wonderful first or second client experience for me because I went into this work knowing that women can birth their babies and, they could do it. So flash forward a few months, I wasn't really getting any clients that were aligning with my philosophy, but I knew that I needed to gain experience. So I started taking hospital births. I primarily wanted to focus on home births at the start of my doula work journey, but I realized that there's like less than 1% of people birthing at home in New Jersey. So the chance of me actually getting, or in the United States, the chance of me getting a home birth here is probably very unlikely. Like I needed to gain experience for my certification. So I started to take hospital births, and they were pretty intense. I had a couple clients who had birth trauma. Like the first postpartum visit I saw them at, it was very heavy, and I didn't feel prepared to support them through it. So of course I got them the resources that they needed, but I still felt like I wasn't really, not like doing my job as a doula, where doulas like aren't supposed to be saviors, but I just felt like I was somehow part of their trauma, and it just felt unaligned with like my birth philosophy, where like women can birth their babies and I just hold space for them and I'm there for them and provide them resources if and when needed. And it just seems like with hospital birth, I was more I found myself trying to find ways to protect them. And my cat is playing with my paintbrushes right now. What are you doing? So I don't want to be a protector. That's not why I got into this work. I don't know if that's messed up or not, but I don't feel like it is my job to save people. And that's what it began to feel like. So this year taking hospital births has kind of made me feel like there's this saving factor, and I didn't feel comfortable in that role. And I think other doulas truly feel comfortable in that role. And that's something that we need to learn about ourselves as we go through doula work. That's basically the gist of why I am taking a step back from medicalized birth and focusing on home birth. Of course, looking into independent midwifery, but that's not really that popular in New Jersey. So I'm starting to kind of like branch out and not focus on the business per se. I think a lot of doulas are wrapped up in making money and earning their worth, which is 100% what you should be doing as a doula. But when taking money and then also having these conflicting feelings on the support itself begins to, I don't know, kind of get a little bit messy, that's where I feel like I'm in a weird spot. So yeah, I'm trying to get clear and live in my truth as a birth worker. My truth is that women know how to birth their babies, and they should be the ones that are making all of the decisions for themselves. And I want to support birthing people that know what they want, because I've been kind of like attracting this whole year. I felt like I was attracting situations that kind of showed me what I was nervous about when I started to attend hospital births. It kind of just really confirmed that I'm not meant to be a hospital birth doula. And that's okay. I think everyone has to kind of go through this and realize what types of clients they want. Like when you hear people talk about who is your ideal client, this is what they mean. What types of settings do you want to be in? What types of personality traits are your clients like going to have? And really getting clear on how that feels. And I don't think that clarity always comes from like having minimal or no experience. But looking back, I knew that I was going to feel this way about hospital birth, and I didn't listen to that. So there's a little contradiction there. I think if you really get clear on your truth and you pay attention to the things that you're studying, like if you're reading books all about natural childbirth, how obstetrics changed midwifery, how all of these things have played such a role in birth trauma, if that's your passion, then how could you be comfortable with only supporting medicalized birth? So those are some things that have been going through my head. It's like I've been kind of putting my philosophy to the side just to be a doula. And I'm learning that that's no longer serving me, just because I've been in tune with my body, severe anxiety, questioning everything. And we get those signs from like our world and our body and how we feel when we're not living in our truth and what we really believe. And that's kind of how I've been feeling over the course of the last few months. I've been able to get like really clear on what I'm feeling. And I don't want to leave doula work, but I do need to kind of like rearrange my world to just kind of make more sense for me, because of course this work affects all areas of my life. So I need to get really clear on that. And that's what I'm doing right now. So hopefully it's not really like a break from doula work. I think I'm just leaving the hospital setting after these next couple months. And if I have any current clients watching this right now, you know I'm not meaning you. You probably know my stand already on some of this stuff. And we're preparing for that. But going forward, I'm going to be more in my truth. And I encourage you to really think about where you're at with your, I guess, just like inner philosophy about birth, and really kind of do some research on all of this, because as a doula, we take on everything that our clients go through, whether we have strong boundaries, strong guards up or not. I have left births crying, going in and saying that I am not going to, show them anything. I'm going to be strong, and just breaking down after the birth. So yeah, when I came to this realization of knowing that I need to kind of switch things up, which was like maybe a couple weeks ago, I just sobbed because I felt for the first time I was understanding maybe a more clear idea of what I'm meant to do. And I still don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that is in doula work. I don't know if that means explore something like independent midwifery. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm clear enough to know that I need to step out right now and stop allowing the idea of having a doula business keep me from living in my truth. And I don't want to share that falsehood with you guys as being so I don't know, just part of this whole experience for me as a doula. I started my YouTube channel when I was already into doula work, and I'm trying to stay honest with you on where I'm at with the progression of feelings that comes along with doing this work. I know a lot of doulas that are so comfortable with being in the hospital, and they thrive. They have big voices. They have relationships with certain doctors. They won't work with certain doctors, and that's how they kind of do their work, and that's okay. But for me, I know that this is meaning something bigger to me. So I'm trying to listen to that and not avoid this feeling anymore, because all it's caused me is holding on to other people's trauma. And I think it's kind of holding me back. I don't know if you guys believe in this stuff, but basically, ever since I have realized that this is no longer suiting me, I actually stopped getting clients, which it's been flowing for the last 10 months at least. Ever since I kind of branched out on my own, well, actually a year next month, I have been getting clients on a regular basis. And ever since I have realized that this isn't exactly my calling, working in a hospital setting, I have stopped getting clients, which is crazy. It's so true that when we finally have these realizations about anything, doors just start to open and other doors close. So that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. So I guess the next part of this video, I want you guys to ask any questions that you possibly have about this. I don't know if it's confusing or conflicting to anything I've said in the past, because I'm kind of just uncovering all of this right now. So feel free to ask any questions. But basically where I'm at with where I'm headed is just getting clear and focusing a little bit more on really learning about what I want. Yes, I'm using a paintbrush. And I feel like I need to pay a little bit more attention to kind of who I'm working with and clients and everything. I'm just feeling I want a deeper connection with my clients and with my doula friends, people who are backup for me. Starting to kind of get some people in my circle that are really aligned with being in their truth and not hiding from any fears that they have. And they're kind of just being honest with themselves. That's kind of who I'm getting along with right now. So I feel that's kind of the same for clients and what they want for their birth, and friends, doula friends, all of that. And I'm just kind of going to go with where this is headed, and let you know that I'm in the unknown right now, for real. But I am exploring traditional midwifery a little bit, which is pretty exciting. I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't really know, if that's right for my life right now, with Lila being so young and everything. But yeah, I'm just focused on living in my truth and not necessarily making doula work my job per se. Just kind of feeling out where this is going by being open to those who come and being aware of those who I need to kind of reconsider, basically. I was thinking about becoming a CPM. So was I for a really long time. And an interesting thing that I've learned in the last few weeks, I started to kind of like explore midwifery, which I've been exploring since this time last year. And I've been reaching out to a lot of midwives in my state and kind of just like going through all of this with them, like being a young mom and a young doula, kind of exploring midwifery. And one of the really well-known CPMs in my area, who they're all very, very sweet. I think every midwife has the intention of being true to birth, being true to their clients' wishes and everything like that. I think this is where the system comes in. And this conversation is kind of a side note, but she let me know, like, being a midwife is hard when you have young kids, like maybe reconsider. And of course, to me, I was like, oh, like, I would love to have babies and continue working. Like, I don't want to have all my children, let them grow up and then start my midwifery practice. Like, I would rather get started early. But anyway, what I've learned about midwifery is that midwives are definitely like, they have more regulations than even OBs do. So whether you're a CPM or a CNM, however you're licensed, if you're licensed by the state, you have certain regulations. So you have to send in paperwork on every client. So you're either sending in paperwork and lying about what you're making your clients do, which doesn't help with promoting change at all. It just keeps the system as wacky as it is. Or you follow the rules, which is not the midwifery model of care. The midwifery model of care is not to weigh your client every couple weeks. It's not to, have those really strict regulations on them throughout their pregnancy. But because low risk women are who midwives take care of here, they need to make sure that they're staying in their scope, which means they need to answer to the state. Whereas, like if you are going to be an independent midwife, from what I've learned so far, you aren't regulated, but you can still hold your own standard to who you take on, of course. So it gets a little bit tricky, but OBs don't have to answer to the state. So you could have a really good OB that, listens to everything that you want and your birth is beautiful, which is not the norm at all. Or you have an OB that practices how they were taught, which is typically very hands-on, and they're interventionists and so on and so forth. So I've explored this as well. And I know that it can be really, torn. And I look back at all of the times I've reached out to CPMs in my area, which we don't have much, but I reached out to them about mentorships, and everyone is either busy or not taking on mentor like a preceptors students right now. So for a year I've been trying to connect with them and it hasn't been working out. So I'm kind of taking that as a sign, like maybe I'm not meant to be a midwife in this system. If I do end up following midwifery, it would probably be something more independent where it's like self-study and apprenticeship on my own. It's too much, honestly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. It's hard with young kids, I feel. Even as like doulas, we can kind of get a taste of what that on-call life feels like and everything. And as a midwife, like you can work with a partner, but you don't necessarily have like a backup for every birth. So it definitely needs to align with your lifestyle. There's no midwifery school here either in New Jersey. A lot of CPM schools, I've realized, are online now. And even before COVID, they have been online. So I don't know if that's something that you would be interested in down the road. There's a few I've been looking at. I was looking at last year, and they were all online. Or it would be like half online, and then like Birthwise in Maine was somewhere I was looking at last year. And the way that they do it is you travel there 2 weeks every semester to do like the hands-on clinical stuff. And then when you go home, it's all online. So I think there's some that are like half in person, half virtual, which is cool. But yeah, the traditional or more like independent route is also online. And the thing with all of these is that you still have to think about apprenticeship. So if there's like older midwives in the area who aren't able to take you on, it can be hard to find someone that's ready to like teach and have you with them for a few years, because there needs to be like a really strong connection between the two of you, because it's a big commitment. You're probably going to be doing an apprenticeship for years. So that's something that I've had to think about. I can't find a single independent midwife in my area. So I'm like, okay, so do I have to relocate, or is it just a matter of timing, and eventually down the line we'll find those people that will teach us? So yeah, it's a difficult path to figure out in the beginning. I know also a lot of midwifery students that are already halfway through school with no apprenticeship still, so they had to halt their schooling until they can find an apprentice here in New Jersey. So I don't know if it's true to where any of you guys are, that you're like kind of low on midwives, but over here we are low, especially in CPM. So we have a good amount of CNMs, but if I want to be an independent midwife, then I will never like apprentice with a CNM, possibly a CPM, depending on their philosophy. But I don't know how that would really work in terms of like the state and learning and all of that, if I'm someone that's going to be kind of doing my own thing. So yeah, it's a lot of research. But yeah, if you have any other questions about this, I just hope it kind of made sense. Like I've been trying not to be too like biased about hospital births, because these have been experiences for me that have brought me to this place. And I never want to discount anything that I have experienced. So if you feel like you have to go through hospital births, if you're feeling like you're somebody like me and you just want experience, like how I was last year, it's no shame in gaining experience and awareness and going through these experiences. I don't regret anything from this year. I think this has only allowed me to get more clear. So I highly recommend kind of taking it as it comes, and being open to how you're feeling about it. And when it starts to feel off, if anything ever starts to feel off, then just kind of address where you're at. And I know it's harder when people are really relying on doula work to either sustain their family, or, you know, just be the main job of either like the main job in your work, or you're really counting on this money with you and your partner. I know that that can be a hard decision to make, but I truly, truly believe that when we become aware of these things, other doors open up. And I'm like a big person who, like, I'm a big journaler. So I journaled everything that's opened up for me in these last few months, that I've been realizing I need to switch this career up a little bit. And I'm telling you guys, I had to put in the work. I had to kind of apply for these random little jobs and get these side hustles really going, but they're starting to come to light. And I'm realizing that I can take this step away to focus on those experiences that I really do feel called to have and share with people. So, where there's a will, there's a way, for sure. I believe in that. But yeah, if you guys don't have any questions regarding this, then I'll probably head off in a few. But if you want to chat at all about medicalized birth or what the hospital has been, feel free to ask questions. I've been kind of like trying to hold some of that back, because I don't want to offend anybody who does hospital births. I know that everyone has different experiences, and I'm not here to like judge anybody who is taking hospital births or who has had great experiences. So I'm not really going to dive into that unless anyone has any questions. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Again, if you find yourself kind of confused about anything, feel free to reach out. I'm on Instagram. You can reach out on my email. But yeah, that's really all I had for you guys today. I hope that this cleared anything up. And I will see you guys soon. And here's to living in your truth. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next week.